Hello, everyone. Another episode with Love Conversation with Sylvia. And now I have my guest is a very, very dear friend of mine. I adore her. Her name is Lynda Sunshine West. She's the founder and CEO of Action Takers Publishing, and she was my first coach here in USA when I just moved here and I didn't know what to do, but I wanted to do something special. I found her in an ad, in a something on Facebook that she posted, and I say yes, and that was the beginning of this friendship and mentoring, and she's almost my everything in my business. So hi, Lynda, so nice to have you here.
Oh, it's always great to be in your presence, Sylvia. And I remember that first time we met each other. Remember, it was that open mic event. I was
Yes.
hosting a speaker's open mic event. And my goodness, that was so much fun. So much fun. We've had lots of fun since then, too.
Oh, we had lots of fun every time we get together. We can't stop talking and sharing. And oh my God, for me, it's such a priceless time every time I share with you. Even in the car, you are driving and we're talking, and I say, "Hold on, I gotta record this. I gotta record this." Oh my God, you are
It's
so
so fun.
amazing.
I
Yeah,
love it
and
when we
I
find people like that, that we resonate with on such a level that we can literally spend days and days with them, and we did that in Las Vegas. We spent
oh
days
yes,
together
yes,
in Las
yes, and we
Vegas.
have every minute was such a lot of fun. And today we're here to talk about this book that is called "Get She Done," right here. I gotta put it really close so I can see it.
Yes.
Yes, yours is bigger than
I,
mine. I wonder
Action
why.
takers. You have the notebook, right? You have the
I
notebook.
have the notebook. I haven't received the book yet, but I have the notebook.
It's
I
in
have
the
the
mail.
notebook.
The check's in the mail.
Yeah, it is on the mail. So I'm so excited because this book is really close to my heart. You remember you started this as a mastermind in your home before COVID. And we all got together there and we masterminded and we brainstormed, and it was such a great time. I wish we could do it again because that was really, oh, we got so much done together.
So much done. Yeah. And that was the whole idea behind it, is to get shit done, right? That was the name of the mastermind. And I think at that time it was Women Who Get Shit Done or something like that. And it really was great. But it's interesting because you mentioned that, I wish we could do that again. And I've heard this saying that, people and things come into our lives for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. And some of these things that I've done in my past, I'm looking at them, evaluating, were those like a season, a reason, or a lifetime? Is that something I needed to let go, or is that something I should bring back? And so it's fascinating how, as we go through life and we grow and we morph and we change, we meet new people, we you learn new skills and all these different things. Is how are we going to use that in our future? And so looking back at that, which was several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I think that I stopped it not too long ago, but that was a great, like, that actually had a reason in my life. And the reason was for me to learn how to step into leadership. I look back and like, wow, that was when I really accepted the fact that I am a leader and I'm
Yes.
ready to go ahead and lead. And so that served a huge purpose in my life.
Well, I love the way you say it because, I do believe that everything is perfect in life, even the bad things, those bad experiences. When you look back after some time, you say, yeah, everything was perfect. I learned so much from
Yeah.
this. And I know that you've been through a lot in your journey to become, the CEO and the founder of Action Takers Publishing. And coming back to this mastermind that was years ago, how was your journey? And what is the thing that drives you to stay in this, publishing books where you get to share with so many people?
Yeah, thank you for asking. The journey has been one that's been kind of interesting, is because as I look back at the beginning of the book publishing journey, that I was in a collaboration book. So my mentor, his name is Greg Reed, he was putting together a collaboration book called Footsteps of the Fearless. And when I met him was in 2015, the year I was breaking through a fear every day, the entire year. And so it was fitting that this book talking about footsteps of the fearless, and I was breaking through fear. So he invited me to be in that book, and it was fitting for me to be in that. However, I was never a reader and I was never a writer. So I had so many doubts that were going on inside of me about
Right.
being part of that, like even just being part of it at all. With that book, though, they had a ghostwriter. So that was my reassurance. Greg said, you won't have to write anything. We have a ghostwriter. They're going to write everything for you. So don't worry about that piece. And I was like, there was a little bit of relief there. But what happened was after that book was published, and that was after I had finished breaking through those fears every day, for that year, Greg said, you should write a book about your breaking through fears, because that's a big deal, And I was like, who wants to read my story? I don't have anything to share. There's no value here. And he's like, are you kidding me? Of course, there's nobody does this kind of thing. So there's so much that you can impart to the reader. And so I went ahead and I started that journey to write my own book called The Year of Fears. And that right there was a journey in and of itself, because I started writing that book over and over and over again for a year and a half, because I didn't know how to finish it. And
Wow.
then about a year and a half later, I met a book writing coach, and she gave me this simple technique that made it so that I was able to now not only start it, but finish it in a week. It was through her tutelage, right? So I tapped into a coach, my mentor, my coach. And then after that, after I wrote The Year of Fears and published it, I asked myself a question that I love to ask myself, and that's, what's my next natural state of progression? Because I want to keep growing. I was in a book. I wrote a book. I'm going to start putting together my own collaboration books. That was my next move.
Wow.
And so I did one called Momentum, and then I did one called The Fearless Entrepreneurs, and Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. And you're in these books as well, And so it's been awesome to have the incredible people in my life on the journey. But when I launched The Fearless Entrepreneurs and Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore, 8 days apart, and both books hit #1 international bestseller status in under 5 hours, I looked at that and said, okay, I've got something here. I know what I'm doing. I absolutely love it. And I'm damn good at this. This is what I'm going to do. And that was when I stopped my mastermind. I reached out and I said, this is it. Like this Monday is our last meeting, because I have a new trajectory and I got to go full speed ahead on it. And since that time, Sylvia, which was 22 months ago,
Wow.
we've published 25 books in 22
Oh
months.
my God. Woo! 22 months. So your life actually changed, and you find your purpose, and at the same time, how many authors did you help on the way to become bestseller international authors? I mean, this is
433. 433.
Wow, 433 people. I'm included, because
Yep.
this is my second book with you, not my third actually. And whoa. I knew it was a lot, but the numbers are overwhelming. Do you realize?
What's interesting? Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. Do you really realize how many lives you touched with your gift?
I'm realizing, yes. And that's the thing, is that if you had told me 22 months ago that I would have published 25 books, I wouldn't have believed that at all. I wouldn't have believed that was possible. But what happened was I just had set goals in mind. And last year we had a goal to publish 15, and we published 9. I always set goals that I can't reach. I don't go for SMART goals. I go for what I call them SMART goals. And that's
absolutely, yes,
specific, measurable, unattainable. Like, why do I want to only reach what's attainable? I want to go for what's unattainable. And so because of that mentality, that I just kept moving forward. And actually somebody in my world said, you shouldn't work on more than one book at a time. And I was like, I'm doing it anyway.
Watch me.
We're working on 11 right now. So we're working on 11 books that we're currently looking for authors for, that want to share their stories. And maybe next year we'll be looking for 20. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to limit myself. I'm tired of people putting a cap on what I can and can't do. And I'm tired really of me listening to them. I'm tired of me listening to that cap that they've placed on me.
Absolutely. And I know that that's one thing that really takes you apart from most people. That when somebody tells you you cannot do this, you say, watch me, and you do it anyways, because you are an action taker. I mean, I always tell you that I wish I could have some of your DNA in my brain so I could be an action taker like you. And I know that this book, Get Shit Done, is going to help me a lot, because each chapter has actually steps by steps in how to make things, right? And but I always loved about you because you were like my motto, my role model. You know, if you did this, I knew that if I do the same, which is hard to catch with you, let me tell you, because you are unstoppable. And I love it. But you are such a good role model for any entrepreneur, because you started from the very beginning. I mean, and now you learn so much. And at the same time, when you need to learn something, you don't say, I already know that, because I know those are the worst words that we can say. You go and ask for help. You reach out, you hire a coach, and you do what you need to do to get to excellence. And that's what you have actually in Action Takers Publishing, because everything, me as an author, I can see that every step of the way is guided by you and Sally, and we can reach out to you when we need help. And also, like, there are books that really move you inside. You know, it takes like, okay, how am I going to write this? Because I'm writing my story, and you always are there for the writers. So I think that, you know, what you are doing is such a great, awesome mission that you do with passion. And that's why it's so good.
Yeah. And that's a very important piece for me, is because, you asked about the, putting this together and stuff. And at the beginning, I didn't want to share my story because I thought it didn't have any value. There was no reason, like, who would want to read what I have to share? And then when I started sharing my story is when I found that it was helpful for others. And like, I'm getting emotional just thinking about this, because we have so much power in our stories. But if we hold them inside, like I did the first 51, 52 years of my life, we hold it inside, we're not be able to help those people. And so for me, I recognize the power of not only my story, but how many stories have I heard that have impacted me?
Absolutely.
And it's not always a movie star, a celebrity, a politician. It's not always them. It's a lot of times it's the people that I meet on like at this house or that house, or at this party, that party, whatever. It's people I meet along the way. And so there are a lot of books out there that, like the collaborative space, a lot of this collaboratives have, these celebrities. We're not about the celebrity. We're about those who are not, it's not like, oh, you can't be a celebrity to be in our book. No, it's not like that. But I'm not lifting the celebrities up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm lifting everybody up. And so I think that for me, that was one of the things that when, putting together Action Takers Publishing, that's so important for me, is to lift others, because this is not the Lynda show. It never has been, and it never will be. Do I want to be in the limelight? Yes. But I don't want to be in the limelight at expense of anybody else. I want everybody to be in the limelight. And so we have like 5 authors in this one book that are interviewing other authors. And that is such an amazing thing for me, because several of them have never interviewed people before, but they said, I want to do it. And so they're doing something they've never done before. Let's see what happens from that. Like, how cool is that?
Absolutely. You're a generator. I mean, I love it. Like you say, you are lifting others. And this is shown always. It's like, that's why you call sunshine, because the sun, every day the sun will come out. It doesn't matter. The sun is not looking at, oh, are they watching me? Am I the star of the show? It will come out anyways. And if the sun doesn't comes out, it's like, we are dead, And that's why I love the idea of you being the sun, the sunshine for all of us writers or wannabe writers, because we all have a story inside. Not one story, we have plenty, because I know I with you, I share two of my stories. And both of them are so impactful. Even when I was writing those words, I was like, oh my God, this is what happened to me. We tend to forget and to like taking away the value of our experiences and how much those experiences can reach out to others and lift them up and say, hey, you can get out of that. You can heal from that. You can heal from abuse. You can get out of that nasty relationship. You can be happy. You can be loved. And I think that this is like your forte, and that's your mission probably in this life. Like you say, you lift others through their stories. And yeah, I love you. You know that I love you very much. And right now, if you could tell, because I know that your chapter, we didn't talk about your chapter. Your chapter is called From Idea to Ink in this book, Get Shit Done. But besides of your chapter in this case, I just wanted to everybody to get to know you, the creator of the whole thing, all these books, and the brain and the heart behind Action Takers Publishing, because you are the brain and the heart, and like this creator that never stopped thinking about what's next and how am I gonna redirect this, and what's next for you right now.
Oh gosh, what's next? You have lots of great things on the horizon, that's for sure. And one thing I do want to share before I get into that is that a lot of times people, like you said, you're a generator. Now, I wasn't always a generator, Sylvia. I've always done things in my life, but I never did anything that was so hyper focused like I'm right now. That's why we were able to do so many books in that short period of time. But it's because I'm so hyper focused on what I'm doing for the first time in my life. Like most things I've done in my life, I've taken the easy way. I've taken the lazy way, most of the time. And so Action Takers Publishing, that name was born because I was not much of an action taker and I wanted to become one. So I thought, I had this idea, if I name it Action Takers, that I'll attract action takers and then I'll become an action taker. That's how it came about. Wow. And I have become an action taker because of that idea that I had, that because they say we're a reflection of the 5 people we hang out with the most. Well, if I'm going to attract action takers, then it's natural for me to move into that state of being, that state of mind. And that's what has happened. It's morphed into what I thought it would happen. So, it's I grew up in a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. I ran away when I was 5 years old and I was gone for a week. I just went to the neighbor's house, so I was safe. But there was something that happened in that week when I was gone. Nobody came to get me, which made me believe that they didn't come to get me because they don't love me and they don't want me around. So I lived my life for that next 46 years in doubt, beating myself up. I was my own worst enemy. There were so many things that were negative in my life. And it got to the point that I was like, why am I even here? Why am I on this planet? I have no value. I have no purpose. There's no reason for me to be here. And that was at 51 years old. And I truly believed that about myself. I wasn't going to commit suicide or anything because I was too scared. I would never do that because it'd be a scary thing. But I found a life coach who helped me. She's the one who said, okay, you're going down this path. Let's get you on this one, and that was that start. And like you mentioned, like I reached out for help. That's what I did first. That was my first action, was to say, I need help.
I need help.
And and I found the help. And then since then, like help has been coming into my life, like on a regular basis, because I'm open to it.
Absolutely. It's like, And by you doing this, it's like, if for you, the listener, hey, if you don't reach out, nothing's going to happen. Everything will remain the same. You got to reach out and ask for help, like Lynda did, like Guy did, like many of us did, and sharing our story. And if you want to share your story, remember that even Lynda thought that her story was not really important or attractive for anybody. And her story is so inspiring because you went through a lot in your childhood, and the idea of not feeling loved, and it happened to many of us. But you overcome this, and now you have a great relationship, you have a great husband, you have friends, you have a business that's thriving. So you got success in your life, and you got love, lots of love around you. So I feel that for everyone that's watching this, just, watch Lynda and how her life was unraveling in a way that now she's where she is because she took action, because you took
Yeah.
action. You didn't stay like, even though maybe now it's more than before because you had to learn to be an action taker as well. Me, I
Yeah.
had to learn to be a more action taker as well. It's like you did it. So there's hope for everybody.
There really is. And a lot of it comes just to deciding and then being committed. So, Les Brown says you got to be hungry, right? And that hunger is a burning desire. Like we all have burning desire for something.
Yeah.
And maybe that flame is just flickering right now because you haven't found it, and that's okay. So for me, once I found this, I had been searching for 6 years as an entrepreneur trying to find this. It took 6 years. I didn't pay myself from my business at all for 6 years, not a dime. I didn't take a dime from my company. Everything kept going back into it. And it got to the point that my husband and I were almost homeless. I mean, that's how bad it was. And so I was spiraling down and down and down in my business. And, I had to go back to a job, which oh my gosh, I dreaded so much because I had been in the corporate world for 36 years. And I had 49 jobs in those 36 years. I couldn't stand it, but I had to make a decision. Again, I'm talking about decide.
Right.
The decision, it took me about 6 months. I was like, I can do it. I can make this money. I know I can do it. And it just wasn't coming in. And so it took me about 6 months to decide, but I went back to a job and I did that for 2 years. Fortunately, it was during COVID, so I got to work from home. But
yeah,
and it wasn't something I wasn't proud of. I didn't hide it from people, but I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to talk about it. Like, because I didn't want to talk about working at a job at all, ever. I wasn't proud of working at a job, you know. But my point there is that I had to make a decision to do something, but I didn't let that going back to a job stop me from pursuing this vision of whatever it was going to be. I still didn't know what I was doing at the time.
Yeah, but probably going back to a job and all the feelings that you were having was like a motivator for you to really reach out to your goals. Because I remember you were counting the days one day we went for lunch and you say, I'm counting the days. You had a goal and it's okay. Sometimes we need to go. As entrepreneurs, this is a roller coaster. And we have to learn so many things and we have to be up to date to all the new things that we need to do on social media on this and this, and then we realize that it's not that way, maybe it's that one, but then somebody else comes and tells you, oh no, that's not good anymore, you gotta do this, and then you try. And this is honestly a roller coaster. But the thing, sometimes if you needed to go back to a job, good for you, you did it, you did whatever it took for you to get to where you are today.
And you know what, I'm going to write this down. I have to write this down right now because you just gave me an idea for another book.
Yay! You see, she is an action taker.
Yeah, so I just write it down and then it'll come up later. And I'm not going to tell the audience what it is. You guys will have to stay tuned, but I'll tell Sylvia when we're done with this interview. But
yes.
So we have over 70 titles that are waiting for us to come out with, and we're working on 11 right now, and we're just working on filling some of those. Then we'll bring some more of those titles, and they just keep coming. Keep coming. It is so much fun, Sylvia. And to find something that you absolutely love so much, like this, I don't want to say these words, but it's probably true. This is consuming my life. But in a way, like they talk about work-life balance. To me, work-life balance is for those who work a 9 to 5.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Because when you're an entrepreneur, it's way off kilter, way off balance. But the off balance for me is enjoyment. It's satisfaction. It's that desire. It's overbalanced in good.
Yeah.
And so how could that be a bad? Why would I want to balance?
Exactly. And when you love what you do, it's not a work. My husband, he's a musician, and every time he goes and play, he says, I love it. This is not work for me. I would do it every single day, and I would do it all day. And he comes back even happier than he left. So that's what happened when you find your passion. So let me ask you, what would be like your final words if you want to invite all these people that are watching to really think about the possibility of them having their story shared in one of your books or any books, but how important it is for them to share their
Yeah.
story?
Yeah. First, your story is not for you. Your story is for those out there who need to hear it. And there are so many people out there. I remember when I wrote The Year of Fears, Sylvia, I was about 3 months after I had published that book, and I was attending an event. There were about 300 or 400 people at the event. And this woman came running over to me. I didn't know who she was, but she saw me on Facebook, and then here I was in person. Well, she bought my book and she said, I bought your book, The Year of Fears. I've only read the first 8 pages and I've already broken through 5 fears.
Wow.
That's impact. And it's not like I'm not telling you about that because of that book. I'm telling you about because of her. Like, I thought I was writing the book for me. I wasn't writing the book for me. I was writing it for somebody who needed to read it. So this book here that this book I wrote in 13 and a half hours, Do It Because You're Scared. I wrote it in 13 and a half hours and published it within 66 hours. And so it's really about your message. You know what your message is. You know what your story is. I knew what my message was. I have talked about this topic for 8 years now. So I knew it, but why am I letting it sit in my head? Like, we need to get it off of our vision board and into the world where it's going to make a greater impact on the planet. So your story is ready to be heard by somebody
Yes.
out there, and they're waiting for you to tell it.
Oh, I love it. So your story is not for you, ladies and gentlemen. So reach out to Lynda if you want to write your story, because it's not just about having a coach. It's about having somebody that knows exactly what to do step by step and how to get you to be an international bestseller.
Yeah, it's fun.
And that is like, you start going through like the premiere, you're like the big shot because you already have that. And this is a great accomplishment. I mean, when I became a bestseller international author, for me, it was like, oh my God, my story is being read in many other countries as well.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes,
It really
awesome.
is.
And I can
Yeah.
teach, because for me, my mission is show what true love is to every single woman in the whole world. So it's like, what's the best way to do it than through a book, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is like something that sometimes we don't even think about it, but it's reachable. And it's just, you need to reach Lynda and Action Takers Publishing. I will invite you because she has so many products, even courses. I took her courses, and you're such a giver. And also what I love about you is like your authenticity and your honesty. That's 100% who you are. And I always tell you, that's why when I think about you, that's what I see: honesty and authenticity. And that's what I want in the people that I want to work with and my friends, because if not, this is not a good relationship. And if we start by having honesty and authenticity in our relationships, in our journey, life is going to change for sure.
That's for sure. And I wasn't always that way. Like, I was too scared to be authentic because I was a people pleaser. And as a people pleaser, you want to say what you think everybody else wants you to say. So I wasn't always authentic because I was too scared. I was too scared. So to hear you to say that, I mean, it took a lot of work for me to get here. It took a lot of work. But I'm never going back to the way I was before. No.
But listen, how important it is for you to say that. I went to give a talk in a high school, and they were all girls, and we were talking about people pleasers, because one of them asked a question and say, are you a people pleaser? Yes. Okay. How many of you are people pleaser? And I would tell you 80% of those girls say me. So how important is also when you share your story about people pleaser, because I know you have a book about that, right? And that is possible to stop being that and start being happy, start being yourself, start being authentic. And that's what we are here to do. When you know that you love yourself enough to not have to be pleasing everybody else, because you don't need that.
Yeah.
just an illusion. So thank you very much for being here. As always, it's a pleasure. I love you very much. And reach out to Lynda if you want to write your story. Remember, your story has a meaning, has a purpose. Go and do it. Reach out to her. And I hope I see you soon in another book by Action Takers Publishing. Thank you, my love. Love you. Love you all.
Thanks.
Have a great day and get the book. Get the book.
Action takers who get shit done.
Get shit done, and you'll learn so much about it. Bye.
Thank you.